All right, here we go. Welcome today. Here we are. Smurf, I see you got your Cubs. There we go. Opening day. It is opening day. So I always think when it is opening day of baseball, it's like, all is good. All is good. For at least a day. All is good. All right, so here we go. Today, and we'll continue with our study of the authoritarians and give you some good time to work on having success in getting your authoritarian case study, perhaps maybe beginning that phase today of constructing it into a finished product, or put some finishing touches on it because you might be already there, already done. Whatever the case might be. But today we will have some time to work on it. But like anything, every day I always start off with a thought. And I like to continue to do that with a thought here. When we look at these authoritarians and or just events in general, to what extent does the choice of words affect the way we view and understand historical events or figures, right? And kind of elaborate on what I'm getting at here is, over the past couple of years or your time in high school, you've come across and you've studied some events or you've seen in the news out there. And so, things like words and phrases like Bloody Sunday, New Deal, Great Leap Forward, Peaceful Coexistence, Angel of Death, General of Death, Brother Number One, Great Motivator, Great Emancipator. How does that influence our understanding? Smurfy had your hand up earlier.
I think the choice of words affects the way we diction amplifies the way that you perceive things. Like, say for instance, you're talking about Hitler and you're like, Hitler's a terrible person versus these abominations that you praise or you disgrace or things that he did were so cruel to gruesome. Like, it's just manipulating just a couple words can really change your perspective.
Okay, all right. It's like looking at an event. We can go back to colonial days and the Boston Massacre. All right, let's talk about the Boston Massacre. How many do we know? Do you remember how many people were killed? Full five. Well, five. Five. Is that a massacre? But when Paul Revere decides to use the word, words bloody, Boston Massacre, and they sometimes do refer to it as the Bloody Massacre as well, but Boston Massacre, it changes our frame of thinking, doesn't it? It does. It does. So how do we overcome that? What do you think?
I think Smurf's reference to diction is really well thought out, because when you read, especially for the historical piece, that has to be as accurate as possible. You think about what it's doing. If you read this prompt about this big historical figure, and the guy who wrote it is incredibly biased towards that person. If you acknowledge that what they're trying to convey is biased in some way, that kind of limits how much acknowledgement you put into and understanding it.
Okay, so you're going to have to do some digging, aren't you? You're going to have to do some digging, and that takes time to do that digging. Do we really want to do that? I suppose if you want to get the full picture, you are going to take that time to do it. But right, you're going to have to do some of that digging there into understanding who wrote it, why they're writing it, and cross-referencing it as well, looking at other sources to see if it's being portrayed as different events. You know, we could probably arrive at that. Us calling it the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Cubans might look at it from a different lens. If we call it the Iranian hostage crisis, the Iranians might look at it from a different lens. The bombing of Pearl Harbor, you know, and you could see that perhaps the Japanese might have a different way, different spin, using different words and such like that. So yeah, you know, how we use words. And earlier in the school year, I had that prompt out there about there's no innocent, language isn't innocent. You know, there's no innocent language. There's intent. There's intent in the words that we use. Okay, so there we go. Good. Thanks for giving that a shot here. I always like to throw those little bits out there to get us to think. And perhaps begin to, since we're in a history class, think like historians, perhaps. All right, so with that, let's work very hard on this. Finish up that research, which hopefully you are there. In my head, if I look at a timeline, you should be there, already finished with research, and now you're working on putting it together. If you need to, in school, if you need to make your recordings, you can go out in the hall, you can do the recordings there, or strategize, figure it out. Those at home, if you have questions, you can always put it in the chat or email me and let me know. What I'll do right now is I will cut you loose to work on this assignment. So those at home, you can stay on, ask questions for clarity, or you can exit and have a fantastic Thursday.